All right, let's go to 2022 and 2023 for UK on the field in the here and now. These 5 transfers, if you just look at where these guys are coming from, it's a pretty well stacked group in regards to them being highly thought of coming out of high school. They signed at Alabama, Ohio State, Iowa, Auburn, Virginia Tech. So the latest is Javon Baker, but just run down the transfers for us in whatever fashion you'd like.
Yeah, well, we'll start with Baker. As you said, I think a lot of these guys, especially in Alabama, Ohio State, where you've got just the glut of, 5-star, high 4-star recruits. He was kind of a guy kind of got lost in the shuffle. I think his stats, he caught 7 passes for around 100 yards this year, had 1 touchdown against Southern Mississippi. He's probably, if you search him on, I think it's Twitter or Instagram, somebody posted, he made like some kind of one-handed catch in warm-ups before the national championship game. That's probably been, the biggest highlight that's, that blew up or whatever. But he was a top 200 player coming out of high school. Of course, signed with Alabama, and was just looking for somewhere else to go and try to showcase his talent. And they always like to say, why not Kentucky? And in this case, it really makes sense because you figure, they lost Wan'Dale Robinson, they lost Josh Ali, they lost Isaiah Epps. Robinson's going to the NFL. Epps transferred to Tulsa, and Ali used up his eligibility. So, they really need guys. They have a lot of young guys who are kind of unproven, but you have him, and they hope with him and Tavion Robinson, who I've talked about before, who came from Virginia Tech, they think can kind of help fill that void left by those guys. And then you go down the list, Darian Henry Young, he's a defensive lineman from Ohio State, another guy who's played, very limited. He was another 4-star guy, coming out of high school. You look at the stats, 247 had him, scored as like a 93, which is obviously nothing to, for Ohio State maybe, but for Kentucky that's pretty dang good. Another guy just looking for playing time, and again, that's a place, Kentucky. They lose Josh Paschal, they lose Marquand McCall, place for immediate playing time, and then the other couple guys, Tayshawn Manning, who's offensive lineman, a lineman from Auburn. The same kind of deal. I know you've been covering the Auburn situation pretty heavily. It's kind of a mess down there anyway right now. Who knows what's going to happen with the coaching staff, and he's another guy, like I said, could come here and probably have immediate playing time. And then the fourth, the final player is Deuce Hogan, who ironically came from Iowa, who of course Kentucky beat in that epic Citrus Bowl game. I don't know if you remember, we may have talked about this before. Coach Ferentz made kind of an innocent sounding, comment or something about, both their Petrus and I think Padilla. I might be getting the names wrong. The 2 quarterbacks were both injured or something or sick, and then he was maybe going to have to play. And he made the comment, just kind of joking, well, if he's going to be our quarterback, we may just stay home or something like that. Totally joking or whatever. But then, boom, he's in the transfer portal, and he's going to be at Kentucky. He's actually going to walk on at Kentucky. So, but he's a guy who can add some depth behind, Will Levis will be back next year, and then you have Bo Allen. So, he's a guy who has played a little bit of game experience. So, that's the 5, that's the 5 transfers that Kentucky has right now. And honestly, once we get to I think the post I'll have coming out for Last Word tomorrow, kind of wrapping up this February recruiting class, I would not be surprised to see Kentucky go, once we get into the spring, go after offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and maybe secondary, because those are the 3 areas that Kentucky, may be needing a little help still. Once you get to that spring practice and everybody's, okay, well, I'm second string now, and I'm just, you know how it goes now. It's like, the transfer portal has just become this huge, everyone's in the transfer portal, it seems like. So I would expect to see Kentucky look for guys at those 3 positions as well.